Oh, I'm sorry, Lydia. That's okay. Confused.
Oh, what happened? There we go. Wonderful. What? Again. What is going on?
throughout. She was.
What time is it? I pay attention. Thanks, appreciate it.
What I liked about that is that Alex was there to be like, oh, Jeff is actually just like Ben and I, and you know what I mean? Like, that's really truly it. Like the personality type of the person that runs the business, the director of ops, is very different than the actual Megan. Yep.
Are you gonna be in here?
Well, you're in the wrong career. You might be in the wrong seat. I mean, there's some opportunity running that we can talk about.
Oh, yeah, that's like my favorite part.
Is the operational side?
Yeah, you're gonna probably.
Oh, God, if I didn't have to ever touch anything operational in my entire life, I'd be great. Like Heather's like this, did you do this? I'm like, oh.
What was I doing?
Talking about the operation side of things.
Business.
Like, I'm not a detail person, not any way, shape or form.
And when I'm going for 3 weeks.
I mean, the details all work themselves out. I don't know what you're stressed about.
What did Wendy used to say? It's guidelines. They're guidelines.
Hybrid code. Guidelines.
They're guidelines.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
People are getting paid.
Guidelines.
Lydia knows all that stuff, so.
Lydia got it.
Other saying.
She's got it.
There's quite a few sayings that we use.
Yes.
This morning that roll around with the thing.
Yeah, that one was a great one. All right, let's get started. Let's start with gratefuls, and it's coming up on Thanksgiving too. This is a great time, and I know we start each meeting out with gratefuls or, you know, something great that's happened in your business, personal life, bucket fills, but now is the time truly to reach out to your sphere of influence and your past clients, because everyone's going to get their holiday cards in the mail from every realtor, every insurance person, every lender within the next 30 days. I mean, I already got 3 from people that are in business somewhere, right? And you know what happened? The good thing is those 3, I actually realized that happened. Otherwise, everything gets put into, and this might sound, oh, Kami, you're non-emotional. No, but when you get 100+ Christmas cards, I guarantee you don't actually sit there and read every single one of them and are like, oh, remember when such and such, whatever.
Especially
However,
the business ones. You're just
except
like,
for
who cares?
like the business ones, like that's what I mean. Like if it's like a business type, you're like personal connections, yes, but otherwise, no. But a thankful call in the next week is something that, number 1, people don't get, and number 2, you don't know what's going on in people's lives, right? And around this time, people start getting really stressed out. And maybe there's things that you could actually help with as going into the holiday season, right? Maybe someone lost a job that you don't know about. And a phone call just to like listen to what happened is really helpful, or maybe they need some financial help. It's a good time to connect. So I would not go into it, who do you know that wants to buy, sell, or invest, but just call them and say, hey, I wanted to say happy Thanksgiving. What are you doing? And connect with them. Who does that around this time of year?
My family.
Okay. We're gonna get you to this, Ryan.
We're giving them pies and poinsettias.
Okay, so same, I mean,
And we're gonna call them
you
all.
know what I mean? Like if that's the same, you're connecting with them around Thanksgiving. So, all right, what else is good? Bucket fills. Who wants to start?
Monday, a handful of people in this room right now went to a Glover U training. It was like a half day morning deal, and it was like the best $30 I've ever spent.
That's awesome. So what's one takeaway that you got from that?
We actually talked about this in our accountability group. Have a bulletproof mind filled with resilience. Mindset is going to be really important coming up. So
Moving into just a new and different market. Awesome. Who else?
Our team is going through the 12-week year together, and I've had it there meaning to go through it for a while, but I'm really grateful they said yes. And we set a schedule and we're being accountable to it, and we're getting so much out of it, and getting on the same page as a team is super valuable.
Awesome. I know we have more than this, and just because you're on Zoom does not mean you don't have a voice. You might not have a face up there right now, but you definitely have a voice. Yeah.
Last week, Jordan on our team had his first 2 closings.
Really from the open houses?
Yeah, so he
Oh,
was
so awesome.
And he listed their house. and sold.
Legit.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then
Nice.
we also want to Buckettville Rick. He definitely had a listing appointment and it came up out of the blue yesterday or 2 nights ago. And it's in an area that she's not familiar with. It's on a lake. And she called him up and he's super helpful with just preparing her to go into that listing appointment. So I'm
Awesome.
back today to take measurements and hope to find that today, and he may actually have a buyer for it.
Oh, perfect.
So grateful.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, who else?
I would have Buckettville Jacob.
He
Uh,
might be on that.
It usually is. They have their big day today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're 100.
The reverse call.
No, he's been so helpful with command. So many questions, so many,
Yeah.
but it's going well and he's
Awesome.
pointing me in the right direction.
Good, good, good.
Not that we should get carried away bucket filling Brahma, you know,
Okay.
but Danielle had a lead where it was a fire lead and it was in Bear Path and it was person was just worried about, you know, how much knowledge of Bear Path we had and stuff. So Rick got involved for us. It ended up still flaking out, but he was more than willing to immediately get on the phone, leverage his experience, you know, like, I'm like, okay, you're not happy with this. Well, how about we bring in this person?
Yeah.
Knows Bear Path, lives nearby, yada, yada, and that, good to remember that if you're getting client objections or something, there is people in this office that you can, in a way, hey, they're part of
It's
this
a team. It's
transaction, we're a
and
team,
Yeah,
and look what you get now, you don't happy with, not with what I have, look what we can bring you.
yeah, that's awesome. Super cool. What else? I'm really excited for Heather to leave. Not because I want her to leave, because you deserve an amazing vacation and time away. So I'm really excited about that for you.
And I should Buckettville, Lydia, Candy and Kimi. I mean, Lydia has done a lot. And I mean, she is my full backup. She has learned a lot, is doing an awesome job. And I feel just so much more at peace and better leaving.
Yeah.
Leaving here. All of you are in such good hands. So,
I promised Heather, Lydia, I won't text you at 7 a.m. like I do her sometimes.
Yeah, everybody keep your questions to a minimum because I'm not Heather. So
She's like, I am setting guidelines and expectations right now.
let's keep those questions low.
Awesome. Anybody else? Anything else good?
Just to the whole leadership team, like you guys keep presenting me with new opportunities that I am so grateful for. Like the learning that I've had, and just the last week is mind blowing. So thank you.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. All right. What's next? Okay, so as always, you know, I love, Chris, that you actually brought up trainings, because I think we talk about trainings a lot, and you don't have to go to every training. But what I do highly suggest is that you're going to 1 to 2 trainings a week. And by training, this can be a training as well, but one that you're just kind of sharpening the skill set that you already have. And we have some really great resources when we have 5 different offices, right? So you don't just hear the same people up there speaking or giving their point of view. And we have other groups like Glover U, which is, yes, Keller based, but not actually, right? That's where he holds his license. There are coaches from Remax, EXP, like, I actually don't even know where Justin Ford's, where he holds his license.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know where he,
I made 2 great relationships with other people in different brokerages.
awesome.
One in Duluth.
I'd
and
love to meet with them.
I'll give you their phone numbers.
Totally kidding. But no, I mean, it's very true, right? And they have a different perspective.
Yeah.
Awesome. So maximize profit and manage expenses.
Sorry,
that's
this Thursday. That's not Tuesday.
I was like, it's not Tuesday.
I know, sorry. I just realized that, like, whoops.
So it's actually Thursday, which
Tomorrow.
is what?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
The 17th,
Yeah.
right? I'm right, the 17th.
Oh,
right.
got it.
Sorry
Yeah.
about that, guys.
So tomorrow, and you can do that via Zoom or in person at KW Lakes. Jen Briggs, who's actually not team leader over there anymore. She's now our GM. And they actually have replaced her. I don't know if that announcement has been completely done yet, but they have a new TL there. So, becoming the local economist of choice, that is going to be Tuesday, December 6th, and that's with Tim Saprell. This is huge because we've talked about this a lot, right? We've talked about numbers and we're going to go over numbers today as well. That being the local economist can be in Hennepin County, it can be whatever neighborhood you work in, but realizing in the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, knowing how each specific area is affected with interest rates and everything else that is going on with the economy is going to be huge. So he's great at that. Tim is one where he will get to the nuts and bolts of numbers as well as how it actually portrays with a client in a buyer or seller situation. So that one's going to be great. And that one is one free CE. That is at the Lakes office though, correct?
Just for the CE. It will be on Zoom, but you won't get the credit.
Okay, so
unless
you have
you're
to be in person to get the CE. Okay, I don't know, so SLS AHAs, I know Bold isn't in here. Delina, you are in SLS. What AHAs did you get kind of from either yesterday or the whole, kind of program of the whole session?
So yesterday was all about, the operations of the business and, Jeff Glover's, Director of Operations taught it, Taylor, and she is phenomenal. I want to be her. But it was all, she gave everything about how we organize, how leads come in and how we talk to each other and how we communicate and how, messages are passed between each person on the team and just how everything fits together. And then they talked a lot about social media and what's important on social media and how to post things so that way you grab people's attention and just kind of a calendar of that. It was just, yesterday was amazing. The entire program was awesome. It was a huge learning experience and a lot of takeaways from that. In terms of scripts, in terms of what kind of lead generation, in terms of, just what you should be doing on a daily basis, which we all know, but it's a great reminder. And then he dives deep into everything. So it was great.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say that was one of the best trainings that I've been to in regards to, it's not just the fluff. There was actually like solidified information in scripts. It wasn't like, oh, you should do this. It was, you should do this. Here's a screenshot of our email that we send out in this setting, right? Like word for word, this is what you write in the templated email. It's like, I don't have to think of that. I can go copy this now, put this into my templates in Google or Gmail, and I'm set to go. So the two ahas that I got from it yesterday, me being so detailed, they're just laughing back there, is systems don't mean it's impersonal, right? So we fight scripts a lot because we think it's impersonal. We fight systems because we think it's impersonal. She gave a great, and I told you guys this morning, a great example of the online, Chewy, right? So if you have a pet, you can have subscriptions, you can have whatever. The system that they have in place, she's never met anyone from Chewy ever, probably, maybe a sales rep at some random event, but the subscription went, she stopped it because her dog passed away. And immediately within 24 hours or 48 hours, they had sent a bouquet of flowers and I'm so sorry to hear about your dad or your dog passing away, right? I was just talking to Maddie this morning about a neighbor, right? That, his wife passed away and she's like, oh, it just felt like kind of gross for me to send I was like, do you think Chewy thought about that at all? No, they thought about, hey, this just happened. I'm going to send this. And now she's telling a story about that to how many agents across wherever, right? And then they send a birthday card with a little thing for their dog every single year. Like that system doesn't seem impersonal. It actually makes her feel special, right? So we kind of balk against that, which we shouldn't. And number two was in any transaction, system, appointment, whatever it is, what can you be telling them or providing them so that they don't ask you first? Right? So in any situation, what can you be providing them so that they don't have to email, call, or ask you? Any part of it, right? Like we just had an appointment. What's next? Send an email an hour after the appointment. This is what's next. Or paperwork was signed. Have that already ready. This is what's next.
And have a system for that.
And have a system for that, right? So for instance, you don't get the listing signed, great. Your email goes out an hour later for the listing not signed. This is what's next. If you did get the listing signed, this is the email that goes out for that an hour later, right? So put it in there so that when you're putting in the appointment, you're doing the follow-up immediately. Which was really cool.
Heather and I both took their operations mastery course. So we have everything on Taylor's side of things. If anyone has any details that they would like or questions on how they do things, I have all of it, in my notes.
Yeah, they literally share everything.
Yeah, they share everything.
And they share everything because no one actually implements it.
Right.
That's why they share everything. Like, no one actually implements anything that people give. So when people are like, oh, I don't want to give my information, it's like, I can guarantee you 1 out of 1,000 are going to implement your entire system. Like, I would put a lot of money on that they wouldn't.
I was gonna share too on CommandCon, the Zold, the Zimmers. They also said, go check out our smart plans. And so afterwards I did go in there and they have a lot of really great smart plans. And so you can just type in Zimmer and they're like, take whatever you want. Like we published them. So that's another good thing to go check out.
Because I guarantee maybe 3 people did that. You and 2 other people. Like, that's it, right?
What was that? Smart Plan Zimmer?
Zimmer is the last name, yeah. Or you can type in Zold, it's sold with a Z, but more came up when I typed in Zimmer. So.
Awesome. Next.
Oh,
Heather.
tiny.
Yeah. So, it's nice. Oh, it's so nice. I received the Culture Award last month from Colleen. And it was very, very nice. I really appreciate it and it really means a lot. This Culture Award it's hard for a leadership member to give out because we want to give it to so many people. I'd love to give it to all of you for being here. And so I just went and was looking through some of our trainings and what was happening. And the person I'm giving it to is not here today, which I'm a little sad about, but that's okay. I'm giving it to Tam Langen. And I am giving this to Tam for all of her trainings on profit and loss. Is she on? Oh, no, that's just your picture. She's at a showing.
Okay.
I snuck out. What's your schedule like tomorrow? Just wondering. But, she's always so helpful with our profit and loss class. She shares her financial statements. She shares her budget. It's really helpful, the information she provides for us. She came in for CommandCon and was in here the entire time. And I know she worked a lot with David Johnson, who's one of our new agents. She's just very helpful. So many of the agents are around here, but she's really great with those numbers.
She's newly engaged.
And she is newly engaged. And I would love to help with the numbers, and Tam would love to help with any numbers. She's happy to share anything, and she's just a great asset to have in our team.
Well, okay, let's start. And again, we don't have very many people in here, but when we do, clapping and kind of celebrating. So Gina had her first closing and her first listing. Had her first. It's one where you remember your first with any of them, and usually you will never forget your first closing or listing or even buyer. So congratulations.
Yeah.
So again, October numbers, so we're going back. When we look at all of these numbers, we're gonna go through Agent Associates first, but then we're gonna look at numbers for the office and kind of the market. I want us to really get in depth of what is actually happening in the market, because these numbers are what is actually driving next month, the following month, 90 days, and 6 months from now. And it's also showing what we did 90 days ago, right? So it's a reflection time as well as what's coming up. So at the end, we need participation as well. All right, October numbers. So for top individuals, listings taken, we had Paul Skillman at 3, Jordan Reese at 2. Listings taken volume, we've got Jordan at 1.5 million. Paul at what I really like about this is there's new names up here, right? So all the things that we've been talking about in the lead gen that sometimes takes, like, I feel like I'm not getting traction, there's new names, and that's really, really cool to see. All right, closed volume for October. For top individuals, we have Colleen Schultz at $1 million. Closed GCI, we have Maureen in the number 1 spot, and then we've got. Wow.
That guy.
Tab T, listings taken, we had DC Homes at 2, Katie Commercial Vision at 2. Listings taken volume, KW Commercial and Vision at 1, DC at 2. Okay, closed volume for the top team. We have DC Homes at 865. Closed volume 1 to 5 is DC Homes, followed by. All right, top groups. She's not here either. Listings taken, we have the best Bethany Nelson, real. Listings taken volume, we've got the Homework Group at 3.6. All right, so closed volume for October. You got the Homers Group at 14 million.
I'm doing new constructions.
I'm like, oh, wait, we have the surrender team at 3.2. You know what's interesting about this, right? So it's new construction. What have I talked about in seasonality, right? I'm like May or early spring is acquisition and October is always a hot month for new construction. Do you believe that that team knows that? And I bet if you go like year over year and multi-year trends, October and November are their highest months, guarantee it. All right, closed GCI, we've got the Homers Group in the number 1 spot. Hi. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you guys a question. You might not remember what the numbers looked like last month, but what differs from last month's closed volume overall, besides the Homers Group, to this month in October? September to October, before we even look at this. Do you guys remember what September looks like?
A lot higher.
A lot higher. Remember we were talking about, I think even the individuals, everyone was over 1 million, as well as teams and groups. Talk to me about that.
Normal. Normal for me anyway.
Okay,
We're gonna have a big November, but
okay. I mean, I
Couple kids in
asked that,
November,
I asked
honestly.
that right for the health of your guys' business too, of like, hey, what's going on there? You know, do we have pendings for November and December? Is it the market? You know, what's going on with that? Because if you think of October, where were we 90 days before that?
Golfing.
I'm like, that whole row right there was golfing. Okay, but that's a fair answer, right? So what does that look like and what does it look like for November? And my biggest thing is what does it look for your January and February, right? Because as we are into those months now, where really what you're doing is January and February already. How are we prepping ourselves for the new year so that we're not already like catching up to whatever our goal is, as we're really excited about it, right? We're all doing vision boarding. We all did business planning last month. What's happening now to make sure that January and February are on track with those goals? That's an actual question.
yeah, it's super important. The business planning that we did, we still haven't finalized it, but we're trying to like start it now.
Yeah,
So that January and February.
because what is your pipeline? Do you know what your pipeline looks like for
Of
January,
course.
February?
I mean, yeah, November's great, December's okay, January and February is where, start worrying about that.
Okay.
There's the pipeline, obviously, but here. for
Okay.
sure.
Who else? I mean, we talked about this a little bit, Shane, where you were talking about pendings and pipeline and, I mean, where are you guys at?
Pipeline feels like it's really huge, but it's just finding motivation.
So there's a lot of people in there, but you have no idea of their time frame
Yeah,
or
like,
motivation. Like, are they gonna go? or
Nobody,
they not?
nobody's moving right now who doesn't have to move. Not a single
Okay.
person. You don't have to move. You're not leaving your 3% interest rate to upsize your home by $300,000 into a 7.5% interest rate. It's just not happening. If you're and I'm not advising them to. I mean, what
Yeah.
kind of idiot would we be if we're saying, oh yeah, do it.
Yep.
Your mortgage payment's $4,000 more a month. Who cares? You know, I don't know.
I think that's a fair thing though, because there are people that probably are saying that, right? So now you're putting these people into another situation and it's not even about our clients, it's about the health of the market. So you have agents that are advising or saying, yeah, let's do this because they're worried about their business. Guess who actually is gonna have to deal with that in another year or two? Everyone that's still in the business in this room, because I'm guessing that agent won't be. So that's actually our duty as agents to get that word out to anyone and everyone that we know. Jim,
I received a referral the other day and she couldn't remember who referred me. Then during the conversation, she remembered. And she told me that she talked to 2 other real estate agents prior to making the call to me. First one said, this is not a good time to be putting your house on the market. That one's gone. Second one that she talked to, oh, that's a corner lot. No, people aren't buying corner lots. I want to go out and give those 2 real estate agents a bouquet of flowers because I'm getting the listing. You know, what is wrong with some of these agents out there?
well, the other part is they don't know what they don't know either, right? So I think we
So-
can judge agents all the time, but if they're not having these conversations at their brokerage or at a level with their team,
That's the
they don't
point,
know what
Amy.
they don't know.
They
You come
don't
into a
know.
market, you come into a business that you have no idea besides personal reference or what the media is saying, right? So that's where I'm talking, we're having these conversations. Not everybody does. So as we're judging these agents, it's a perfect opportunity to figure out who those agents are actually and say, hey, let's have a conversation of why it might be a good time or not a good time so that we can educate those buyers and sellers, right?
They'll all be out of the business December 2nd because dues are due December 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah, dues has to be paid real soon.
Yeah.
But some of them might not be because they're still riding off the last 2 years, right? Like they had You had a license and you could sell real estate. You didn't even have a license and you could sell real estate. Bethany was on there. Did she jump off?
No, I'm on. I just put my hand down. But what I was gonna share, what I was gonna share earlier though, is to Shane's point, is I think that the opportunity, and this is what I think we always need to be looking at as agents. I remember Gary Keller saying, like, stop focusing on the market of where you're in today and what's the market you're headed into. And for a while, we've been focused on, okay, people don't want to give up their 3% interest rate on their house, but maybe they're having another baby and they're like, WTF, I cannot live in this space anymore. Then don't have them give up the interest rate on that house. Have them buy their next home and teach them how to rent their first one out. We've done that 8 times this year. And so that's 8 deals that if we would have just let them stick to the mindset of, oh, I can't do this, we wouldn't have had those transactions. We hosted an investor seminar last night. We had 16 people show up. I've set 4 appointments from that. I mean, there are still people that are motivated. You just have to find them motivated. And it's who's interested, first-time home buyers, people that want to move up and can afford to keep their first one as a rental, and investors. And then people that have to offload because they need to downsize. I think there's a reason we're seeing a lot of really shitty grandma listings on the house right now. They're people that waited to offload. So I think there is opportunity. It's just a matter of what's the market that we're headed into.
That's a great point, Bethany. The other part, like what you just said is you had an investor seminar last night. 16 people showed up and you set 4 appointments from that. Okay, so what you were doing there was educating. I don't care what you believe your job is. It is actually to educate in every single appointment that you go on. It is not to sell them on working with you. Okay, if that's what you're doing, stop it. Like, you have to educate them why it is or isn't a good opportunity with what they have, right? Like, every single person is different. And if you're going to go into those appointments and try to sell them all on the same thing because you're worried about the paycheck, please do not hold your license here. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, because that's not what KW is about. And that's sure in the heck what this office is not about. And if you don't have the information to be able to educate, find it, right? We have so many resources. And I can guarantee if you went on InfoSparks or anywhere else and just spend some time on there, you're going to find that information. Yesterday at SLS, Taylor made a great point. People are going to ask you from now until after the holidays. So in January, how's the market? What are you going to say?
Depends.
Okay, awesome. What's that mean, Shane? Like, I mean, we were thinking about buying or selling, but everyone says the interest rates are insane, not the right time to buy, not the right time to sell. So we're just gonna sit here.
Okay, why did you want to move in the first place?
Well, I guess we didn't really want to, but we were gonna capitalize on the interest rates. So, I mean, why not? We could buy a, 1.6 for pretty cheap.
What would that have done for you?
Well, we're kind of outgrowing this house and kids are at home a lot, they got more friends, 3 of them, and then they each have 3 people over. It's like the square footage in our house just doesn't work.
So your house is too small and getting a bigger house would make your life a lot better.
Yeah, probably.
And you want to stay in the same location?
Yeah, I would say so.
Have you run numbers with the lender and taken a look at what that new interest rate would do and where your payment would be for the house you'd want?
No, we're just, again, I read the news and it just seems like it's insane. A little louder.
Well, why don't I come over and we can talk about it more in detail? We can run numbers. We can take a look at what's out there, on homes that would improve your life. We can talk about where your home currently sits on value and where it might be in 3 to 6 months. And let's create a plan.
That just went from how's the market to why did they even ask me that question? People ask the question for a reason, because I can guarantee most of the time, if you're not in real estate, you don't want another agent asking you for an appointment unless you're actually curious or you want to know what they think, right? No one asks that if there's not some sort of curiosity for whatever reason it is. for themselves, family, friends, whoever, or just to know what their house is worth in the neighborhood, right? Like, man, my kids are gonna be going to college. I might be selling in the next 3 years. Should I be doing that now or should I wait? There's some sort of motivation in that question, right? What did you guys hear in that though? He wasn't attached to any answer that I had. None. Awesome. It depends.
Like a good doctor, asks you a lot of questions before they make a diagnosis.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other, go ahead, Derek.
Why weren't you attached to what she was saying?
I care about her, not the outcome.
I was thinking maybe it was because she wasn't the only conversation you're gonna have like that this week.
Yeah. Sure.
Right? Yeah. Like,
Both, right? Like, if
Mm.
that's the only lead that you had, we all know that that conversation looks very different, right? And that's the conversation usually that,
Take the Tommy boy and Tommy boy. where you-
you said you wanted to sell or buy, huh? Yeah, no, it's great. It's a great time. Let's do this. 300,000, my commission's about 10. Okay, yeah, we should do this, right? Like, so that, it feels different. It feels more needy, right? And granted, I mean, there are gonna be people that do need that lead, but I don't care. Pretend like you don't. Whatever you gotta tell yourself for that affirmation, that's like, if this person does need to buy or sell, calm down. I just need to be a professional and educator.
Hey, Kami,
Yeah.
I think one other thing to piggyback off of what Derek said, and obviously I don't know this for sure, but I would bank on the fact that Shane's probably doing okay where he's got reserves and his mortgage payment next month doesn't rely on that one conversation. And I think we need to pay attention to the fact that really, really smart people and really big, smart companies are making major layoffs right now because they're preparing for what the economy is doing. And we need to be doing the same thing in our businesses. So if you're not evaluating your financials right now, professionally, you're going to feel it. And those conversations are not going to be as powerful because you're going to be emotionally tied to making that sale.
Yeah, and to back that piece, if you are emotionally tied, why aren't you doubling down on whatever your lead gen is right now? How many of us are lead generating at least 1 hour a day? Not even half the people just raised their hand. Very candidly, can I ask you guys, what are you doing then? Like, that's a real question you should be asking yourself every single day. If you're not lead generating for at least an hour and you also don't have reserves for the next 2 years, what are you doing? And why? Right? Okay, who else has something that they'd be saying when people ask you how the market is?
You know,
Wendy?
I just want to throw it, I was at an event recently and a lady, just as it was getting ready to get started, asked me, how's the market? Is it really changing? Are things slowing down a lot? And I said, it's interesting. And then, but we didn't get to finish up that conversation. And that's going to happen a lot over the holidays, right? You'll be in one conversation, then somebody walks up. So the next week I called her and said, I just want to follow up. If you needed some information, I want to make sure I got that to you. You were asking about the market. Is there a reason you're asking? And then we got to have a whole big, long conversation about that, but that becomes opportunity for follow-up later, even if you don't get to finish the conversation in the moment, so.
Well, and I was just, as you're saying that, I'm thinking of what Bethany just said, other companies are having layoffs. What happens? Why do people move? Job change, right? So are we following what large companies are doing layoffs? Because it's in every news place ever. If it's a large place that ends up laying
Twitter.
people up. Or Twitter, right? Like,
Oh, Twitter's.
So, but to be fair, when this happens, and you have people in your sphere, okay, right? Who are you, and don't reach out that day, right? But at the same time, watch. Be mindful and strategic. That's what companies do. That's what marketing is. That's what any type of growth happens, right? They show up and it's like, people are gonna be on job searches. People are gonna, need to change because they can't afford their house. Be there for them when that's needed, not in some weird, creepy way, but like, they might need help. And I hope that you're the first one that's there, not someone else that's gonna swindle them. All right, going over numbers, just in regards to us versus the MLS versus the area. So when we think of this, right? So this is the first month that we're actually very close to the area in MLS, right? So kudos to you guys just in regards to equalizing out, or the fact that the market is now just stabilizing with us, right? Because in month or last month, we were still pretty far off percentage wise. When we think of us in closed units, we're down by 16.7%. MLS is down by 13 and our area is down by 16.3. There was a larger gap on that last month with our office versus MLS and our area. Closed volume, again, we're pretty close. We're down by 6.5. MLS is down by just about 5. And the area is actually down 7.3. Those two in general, what do you think is happening there? Why do you think that that's closer this month than it was before? Our office growing and we're.
Because of the
taking
Homer group?
higher- What?
Groups, 18 million last month. That doesn't hurt.
This is fair though, right? So think of our office. So our office didn't exponentially grow between those 2 months, right? But people within inside the office have, and new construction. Our office has a lot of new construction teams and individual agents that work that, right? So that's where, when you look at these numbers, you have to understand the numbers, because we can sit there and stare at them and be like, oh, cool, those are great. Why are they great? Right? Like, and honestly, they're not great. Everything's down, but I'm saying in regards to we're not getting beat by the MLS or the area by that much. Listings taken, we are down by 14.5. MLS is down by 8.4 and the area is down by 7. Listings taken volume, we're down by 5%. The MLS is up just about 1% and the area is up about 2.3%. The listing sold, we were down by 22%. MLS was down by 13% and the area was down by 16. Volume is very similar in regards to comparison to those two areas. And then I want to focus on contracts written. Okay, and I asked that earlier. What did we see the numbers difference between September and October, right? And what was sold? And October was down compared to September. Contracts written, we're down by 25%. Okay, so that means that November, December, and January, wherever those contracts are coming out, are also going to be down. So what's going on? Like, do we feel like we have a lot of pendings? Like, again, I want to understand this number, not just look at it and be like, uh-oh, what's going to happen in the next few months?
But don't you feel like that matches like overall the stats, like we were seeing last year when we sell nationally, like 7.1 billion, and this year they're saying it might be 4.8, and that we're seeing that just drop in units across the country. We're seeing it here too, but we are definitely lagging even beside our market and the MLS.
I don't like being average, let alone do I like being outpaced by the MLS or our area. And right now, we're not even average. So when I ask the question, what's going on, I'm asking the question, what's going on, because that's money in your guys' bank account. So it's a very serious question. It's not like this hypothetical. What?
You need money that's not there.
Yeah, the money that's not there, right? Like, and to me, that means something, right? Because the conversations that I'm having with agents on their financial stability right now are very serious. But I can't help if I don't know what's happening and why our contracts written are down.
I think it's an activity problem and it's a conversion problem.
Okay. Tell me more about, I mean, the activity problem, I would say 100%. I just asked who lead generates more than an hour a day, and there were 4 people that raised their hand.
Well, I guess here's my other thought on that, Kami, because here's the reality. I hate being on the phone. Now, do I convert when I'm on the phone? Yeah. But let's just say that someone in the room right now is like, I'm not going to cold call. I'm not going to circle prospect, blah, 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 blah. That's fine. Then you should be doing 4 open houses in a week. We put a new listing on. We had 15 plus groups in the first open house. And we still had groups through the second. And both agents met a bunch of people that are not working with people. And you know what? Some of the calls that I then got later that day about that listing were agents saying, hey, can you give us a little more time to get an offer in? My client's not pre-approved. Why are their clients not pre-approved? Because they didn't think they were motivated until they found the right house. So are we making sure that our clients that are on the fence, that we're having that conversation? Hey, Kami, if the right house came on the market though, for the right price, wouldn't you be motivated? Well, yeah, for sure. Okay, awesome. Then we need to make sure that you have your pre-approval ready so that we're not waiting. I think it's just having the right conversations and doing the activities. If you don't want to circle prospect, I don't circle prospect. I don't cold call. There's plenty of other ways to go get business. We've got 10 pendings right now, maybe 11. I don't even know. But it's, and that's not great. We're way behind goal. But I think the 2 issues are activities and conversion.
Well, and that's the thing is activities don't have to be on the phone. And if you're gonna go out to happy hour, do not go out to happy hour with 8 other agents. Okay, like that sounds fun and all, like that's really great. But until your business is so robust, you better be at like 6 happy hours then. And they better be 5 with people that can actually buy or sell. And 1 with agents, right? But there are plenty of ways to lead generate.
Kami, I'm really focused right now on connecting with people that send me business. So I'm taking those people to happy hour. I have one tonight. They've sent me probably 6 transactions over the last couple of years. I'm taking them to happy hour to literally have the conversation of, hey, I really appreciate you and I just want to connect with you. And at the end, it's going to be, I'm going to thank them again. I'm going to tell them if I want to work with more people like them and ask for more referrals.
Any other thoughts around this? Like, is anybody worried about their business, or are we all like, it's super cool and this is just a number that nobody's actually worried about? Heather?
I'm even worried about the market center looking at some of those numbers. I mean, we want to make sure everyone here is able to provide for their life, and that looks like it could be a little tough.
To be in real estate and say you're not a little bit worried about these next, 5 years, if you're whatever your situation is in the household, who's the breadwinner, who's not, like, be a little silly to say there's, not some concern there.
Well, and I think it's not a scare tactic. This isn't a question to scare you. This is a vulnerability piece of realization of running a business, right? Like, if you are not a smart business owner right now that is trying to shift or switch strategies, good luck. Like, and that's a very real thing. Like, there are going to be changes. There are going to be different conversations. People are going to ask for less commission, and you have to be well prepared to have those conversations, right? And volume that everybody's been tracking for the last 2 years. What do you think that volume is going to look like moving forward?
Can I answer a different question or bring up something different? You'd said commissions, there might be more pressure on commission.
Yeah.
We're both having the exact opposite experience. We're getting full commissions again, as much as we were ever before. The last 3 or 4 years, there's been a lot of pressure on commission because of so many agents in the business. Now, a lot of agents are leaving and not there. we don't have as much competition on the
Well,
listings
well, I
that we
think
are
it's-
going
I
on.
think it's the perspective from a seller too, in an up market. They're like, oh, it'd be easy.
You realize it's harder to sell a house and it costs more, take more time and
I think it depends, I think you also combat that well with whatever your listing presentation is, right? So it might not even come up anymore, right? But those that might be new in the business, first time sellers, they like, that's the moment where net's gonna count. I mean, you remember that, like, what's the net? I need to be able to get out of this or I'm upside down or whatever it is, right? As we keep moving forward, agents that are not doing as much business are getting pinched on commission or from other brokerages, and I'm hearing it often. So I like that perspective to know that you guys aren't dealing with that, right? And it's probably because it doesn't even come up. I mean, does the question of commission even come up anymore for you guys?
Depends on the person. Sure.
Okay.
always part of the conversation. It's just.
Maybe the objection isn't coming up as much anymore. Okay, how do you guys pose it when you're saying you're getting full or more? How do you present it?
Say this is what the fee is.
Okay.
They don't argue.
Okay. I'm gonna chalk that up to confidence. Do you guys agree with that? They go into your appointments, they know their value, and they're not willing to waver from it.
Well, if 84% or whatever the heck the number is now, agents haven't seen rates over 5. And
That's crazy, by the way.
if that stat's really real, I don't know where I even saw that, but if that is even real, I mean, that's a crazy thought to think that the vast majority of agents have only been licensed for 5 or 6 years. And they've not experienced a shift yet.
Well, and you think about the amount of agents that came to the business between 2020 and now is a huge increase, right? And that was like a very different market. So if you're newer to the business, meaning 5 years or less, this is an opportunity to talk to people that have been in it 5 years or more. And just say, I don't even know what to expect, right? Because you don't. None of us really do, but they at least have went through other shifts in a market. Derek.
Agents who have been in the business 5 years or less, like there's a decent likelihood that they've never had a conversation with a seller about a price reduction. I mean, if they were doing a decent volume of listings, then yes, but you know, I mean, it's been pretty much put them on and watch them go.
I think it just all comes down to having confidence in your value and portraying that. Like, we've completely changed our listing presentation specifically and added pieces in that talk about the value of our team, our different variable rate structures that we're offering now. And we've shifted some of our expenses to a higher commission rate because we know it's gonna take that to sell their house, and we're cutting expenses on our end as well. So I think it's just being confident in what you know about the market, know about their listing specifically and the value that you are giving, and then presenting that to them so that they can see every single piece that you're gonna take off their plate, so that they're comfortable paying that higher commission rate or the standard commission rate. And on top of that, on the back end, as an operations person, we are cutting expenses like crazy. We've gone through our P&L, redlined as much as humanly possible, and running super, super, super lean, so that we are going to be hopefully okay in the next month, years ahead.
You know what's interesting about this conversation when we're talking about this? I mean, Bethany's team is up on this board with #1 spot of listings, #2, and you know, whatever. And what she just said is hopefully we're going to be okay. And they're doing a lot of business, right? But they're being smart about moving forward. And they're also not thinking like everything's going to be fine. And if we're not doing that and taking a really hard look on our personal side of finances too, because we can cut the business, but if we're still spending on the personal side and that doesn't match what you have coming in, those are even more interesting conversations in coaching. Right? Because now you can't fund the life that you wanted.
That's when the cut should come first.
Yep.
The personal side.
I'll just plug the call for tomorrow again at 11 o'clock, managing expenses.
Just in case anyone wanted to figure that one out before we go into the new year. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up so we can do wants and needs, but next week,
This is just last year over.
Yep.
Just our own numbers.
next week, instead of in lieu of the team meeting, Lydia was asking. And from this conversation, I'd like to take the first 10, 15 minutes to do scripting. And go over numbers going into the holiday season on whatever area you're in or what the market stats are for Hennepin County. Or our area, so that you actually have those numbers in your brain, in a script, to be able to talk about them in a setting, whether or not it's a party, a happy hour, or wherever. And then for the other portion of the meeting, we can either do thankful calls, lead gen, whatever you guys would like, but I'd like to do it in here as a group. So as we just talked about, the two things that we don't have is the conversion and the actual activities. Next week, we will be doing both. Is that fair? Okay, all right, wants and needs, let's go into that.
I want to say Christy Kimbrell is featured on House Hunters tonight.
Yeah.
So if you guys can tune into that, it's fun to see one of our own.
That'll be really fun.
9 o'clock.
PM? I don't know.
I don't have that.
That's what it said online, was 9:00 PM.
Okay,
One more thing too.
yeah,
This is a little bit of a shameless plug, but we as a team are hosting a business planning event. I know there's been plenty of them, both in the office and just in the real estate community in general. So we've moved it back to December 1st, Thursday, at the KW Marriott, or the Marriott Minneapolis West over in St. Louis Park. It's broker agnostic. We have a ton of really awesome speakers. And they're not only going to tell you about how to prepare for business next year, and you'll leave with an actual spreadsheet that breaks it down into this is the number of calls that I need to make to hit my goal. It breaks it down from your unit goal all the way down into daily calls, daily reach outs, and you leave with that day. But we also have a really great tax advisor coming in to talk about your personal taxes, your business taxes. We have a really great speaker from a RE/MAX agent, who just talks about the big why behind things. So if you guys are interested, let me know. It's $30 to participate, but half of that goes towards a really great cause for charity. Thank you, every meal. And the other half goes to lunch and coffee, and the takeouts that you guys will take home with you.
It's all day.
It's an 8:30 a.m. start. It's Sarah Huffman's kicking it off. She's a Glover U coach. And then we've got Paul Miller from Business by Design. We've got a ton of people from other companies signed up. We have enough space for 200. We're planning on a big event. We're using it for recruiting to our team and to the market center. So if you have people in connections at other companies, the goal is to make it comfortable enough that people won't feel like it's KW, but they'll see the value between a bunch of different KW speakers. It's December 1st.
And this is not the year to skip business planning. If you haven't done it yet.
And you'll take away the activities that you can start now, so that come January. everything is done.
Can I say something too real quick? As Jim talked about, this is totally what you guys are talking about, but your dues for the next year are due by the end of November. And there is a line on the bottom for increased assessment for ad campaigns. I'm gonna put this in the kitchen. I'll also email it out, but it's $45 and there's a line on there. And I was like, what is this about this year? And Mara says they've received a ton of calls. Like, what is this extra fee we have to pay? So here's the information about it. I'll also email it out. So please go on and pay your dues.
It's not, you can't do it it's auto pay. You have to actually go in and do
You
it.
do, yeah, because there's those things, it's like, do you want to donate to this? Do you want to donate to this that you can change? So please go on there and do that. And then I'll post this and also send it out just so you guys know what that extra line fee is all about. Sorry, Heather.
Spin the wheel. Spin the wheel. And do you guys notice, look at our bonus this month. Anyone who has submitted your commissions tab without being asked. Imagine if you had to ask someone to submit something every single time. It's a little tough on Lydia and I. Commissions tab, you guys, remember commissions tab, that's the tab you need to submit to get paid. It shows your commission, how much you're getting paid. Just like you guys know what your projected closings are, It's super helpful for the market center if we know what our projected closings are. You can do this as soon as your inspection period, everything's done, as soon as you upload your documents, you can go ahead and complete your commission tab. Also, when you do it that way, you don't have to think about it again. So how nice is that? But yeah, so that's who gets a bonus spend this month, is anyone who has submitted that commission tab without being asked. Who is that? Who in here is that? Bethany and Elsa team? Danielle, you do it too?
I started doing it after you yelled at.
Thank you, guys. So not very many, so please submit your commission tab. Super easy, okay? If you have any questions on how to complete it, how to do it, let me know. So here's all the people's listings coming up, and spin the wheel. Woo. Oh, no, I can't. I'm sorry. So you get an extra, you get an extra for your, doing your commissions. tab. Oh, come on, big money, big money.
I can't do that, but.
Maybe.
Oh my gosh, my friend Becky.
Do it a little harder.
Your buddy, travel company.
Nice.
Her friends, you just bought a house up here, they got referred to you from him.
Yeah. Come on, get a 20.
One of my friends just referred me. And
And I was like,
she's like, I got back into it. Down in Heglet. And getting back.
$1 each and one.
Yeah.
oh,
Oh.
all right, come on, Tina.
Five. Oh.
Fine.
Hi, Chris. We have our last wedding that we are going to the small.
And again, it's double it.
Like right by like.
Yeah.